Are you ready for some Better Call Saul movie trivia? Hope you guys are. Let's get into 10 things that you may not have known about Better Call Saul. Let's go. So, number 1 on the list. Did you know the music that plays during the end credits is a rearranged version of the Breaking Bad theme? Guys, it's actually kind of hard to spot, but pay attention the next time if you watch one. Go straight to the end. You'll see it. It's quite fascinating. Next, number 2. Vince Gilligan said his enjoyment of creating the show has opened his mind to other spin-offs or shows set before or after Breaking Bad. Dear Lord, we gather here today. Please let this man do another spin-off. The guy is a goddamn genius. Maybe could you do one with Mike, or is Mike getting a bit too old now? And in fairness, but how awesome would it be to have a spin-off of Mike? Jeez. Let's praise the God. Number 3. Vince Gilligan said that the show would not go past 6 seasons as the timeline would eventually run into the Breaking Bad timeline. He says, "We have certain characters that need to be introduced and specific events that need to happen, but the writers have freedom to develop how we get in there in allotted time available," said Gilligan in an interview. Well, look, yeah, that's fair enough, isn't it? I mean, but then, can you imagine the amount of work that they had to do? Even though these guys know Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and their scripts because they write it, they know it off by heart, but still, they'd have to still triple, quadruple check that, oh, does this connect with Better Call Saul? Does that connect with Breaking Bad? Unbelievable research and just doing your homework. It must have been insane, the amount of work, guys. My God. Next. Bob Odenkirk initially turned down reprising his role as Saul as he felt Breaking Bad was fulfilling enough and he wanted to spend time with his kids. And get this, his kids assured him they'll be okay and encouraged him to come back. Can you imagine that? We gotta thank his kids, man, for coming back to the show. His kids! Do they even watch it? He's not that old. Surely his kids are young, but God bless his kids, man. Oof. Anyway, next, Aaron Paul announced having serious talks with director Vince Gilligan for a possible guest appearance, but later told the Huffington Post it was not going to happen. However, before the first episode of season 6 was released, it was announced through the Better Call Saul Twitter that both Jesse and Walt would make an appearance. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I could have done without Jesse being in it. For me, he's obviously a very, very important part of Breaking Bad. But at the same time, he's just too loud. Doesn't anybody else think that? He was always screaming. You'd always have to turn the volume down on the TV. Just give me a break, man. Come on, seriously. Do you know what I mean? And definitely have Walt back, but... Well, look, fair enough. I won't argue with it, but... I could have seriously done without him back in Better Call Saul. Next, Howard Hamlin, nicknamed Jimmy Charlie Hustle, as most of us know, but it's a reference to him as a hard worker, but also it's the nickname of former professional baseball player Pete Rose. Rose was suspended from his career after it was discovered that he was making bets against his own baseball team, echoing Jimmy's own legal problems in his own career. Well, if any baseball fans out there, I'm sure you know. You're probably well ahead of me on that one. Okay, next. One of the companies Kim Wexler has as a client is obviously called Mesa Verde. Did you know in Lethal Weapon 3, the Mel Gibson movie, the villains own a company called Mesa Verde Construction? Is there any connection to that? Or is it like a compliment back to that? Interesting. Next, in season 3, episode 6, Howard serves Chuck a 1966 bottle of Macallan whiskey, saying it's 35 years old, meaning this series actually takes place in 2001. You know, I don't know about you guys, but it certainly doesn't feel that it was in 2001. I know they've got the old phones, but still, it doesn't seem it was that long ago. Okay, next. Spoiler alert, by the way, guys. Just, if you're going to turn it off now, we're going to go. Next, Vince Gilligan admitted that the characters of Chuck and Howard developed differently than initially planned. Chuck was gonna be the wise older brother who would provide Jimmy with advice, and Howard was gonna be the nemesis and foil in Jimmy's life. However, after a few episodes, the actors, producers, and writers all agreed that the trajectory of the characters would work better if Chuck was the true nemesis, and Howard was the flawed, sympathetic friend who wanted to help Jimmy. You know, I've read my scripts, guys, and I've studied acting, and you know what? Definitely, it's always harder and more intense if it's somebody who's close to you, because you can always shy away from or get away from the person who's not your brother or a family member, because if it's your brother, it's more heartbreaking, isn't it? And maybe a lot of people can relate to that. Next, in July 2021, Bob Odenkirk suffered a near-fatal heart attack. I know some of you, a lot of you know this, on the set of the 6th and final season shoot. He attributes his survival of the trauma to, among others, his co-stars Rhea Seehorn and Patrick Fabian, who were both with him at the time, and reacted so great, the production's medics responded immediately. After 3 attempts with a defibrillator, they managed to restore his regular heartbeat. He claims to have had no memory at all of the experience, though the attack was severe enough to necessitate the insertion of stents into his heart. Holy shit. 3 attempts with a defibrillator. Can you imagine that, being on the set and you see the guy drop and 3 times this has to happen? Oh my god. And he doesn't even remember what happened. That's intense stuff, man. That is intense stuff. Anyway, guys, quick one for you today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll come back with more Better Call Saul. Cheers.
Peter.
Walsh.